And right now, we're diving into the Web3 world. And Web3 became a very buzzword in the conference landscape as well, in the tech scene. But let's look from a very different perspective. What kind of value does it hold for the startup scene? So our next session, no surprise, what can startups expect from Web3? And we're going to explore it with entrepreneurs that have first-hand experience of building their products in the new era of the internet. Let's give a round of applause to Tadas Maurukas, co-founder and CEO at Blockchain Center. Tadej, where are you? I cannot see you. Oh, here he is. Hello. Skirmantas Januškas, CEO and co-founder at DappRadar. Oh, there is a huge support group here. That's great. Kaspars, Auzarejs, Mobility and UX GD lead at Accenture Baltics. And moderator, Gintautas Mockus, project manager at Blockchain Center.
Hello, guys. So we are here to talk about what can startups expect from Web3. Before we dive into questions and etc., let's introduce our colleagues. Kaspars.
Hi, my name is Kaspars. By the way, who recognizes the brand Accenture which is up there? Can you raise the hand? I need to take a photo for report. So, thank you. Looks like I need to introduce it. Yeah, Accenture is the biggest IT firm in Latvia. We hire half of the bachelors, half of the master IT guys every year. We have more than 2,100 people, and this year we will close also operations open operations in Lithuania by hiring 100 people. Yes, and my role is that I'm taking care of 250 people for UX, mobile, and web development. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Skirmantas, please continue.
Hey there, so I'm Skirmantas, CEO and co-founder of DappRadar. Well, I would say DappRadar is in a way similar to traditional app stores that you're used to, but also very different. Different in a way that in this world that started probably 4 or 5 years ago. I'm not kind of saying it wasn't there, but it just started, and now we're getting used to it. So think of if there were no app store, how would you feel? Probably bad. So in the blockchain, this is how we felt. And 4 years ago, we founded DappRadar. So what we do is we're tracking decentralized applications. We know how much money there is flowing. We know how many users there are. So if you want to know which applications are more popular, which are not, which are worth investment, just hop on there. Here we go.
Thank you. And Tadas.
Hey, I'm Tadas. Well, basically what I do, I'm one of co-founders of Blockchain Center. I'm also a co-founder of Limpo. And what Blockchain Center does is we help startups and businesses to fully go to the blockchain world. So we help them fundraise, we help them release the token to the market, we help do NFT sales and everything else that's in between.
Yay! Yay! And I am the moderator of this discussion, Gintautas, and I work at Blockchain Center with Tadas. So Web3 is rather the new topic in the world. Could you please share your definition, what is Web3 for you, and how it is different from the Web 1 or 2 that we know right now and we are using each day? Kaspars, your thoughts?
Oh, difficult topic. Web3, right? This is something what let's say industry promised, that there will be infinite ways of making the value, and not just making the value, but also own it. Yes, that's my.
Okay,
I'll probably expand on your saying on infinite ways to create value, because that's exactly what we see in this industry. You know, if you compare it to traditional world, it's kind of looking at, you need to ask for permission, you need to go and look at instructions and so on, and then kind of get access to that. In the blockchain, you just connect various different things. So for startups, there are so many more opportunities than in traditional world. I'm sure about that.
Cool. Tadas.
Well, Web 3.0, that says that it's a third web version, right? So first of all, we have to understand what is Web 1, what is Web 2, and then we can clarify the difference. So I can give you a simple explanation. So Web 1 is when it's an early internet days, right? So it was a days where you would only interact with a website in a read-only manner. So you see a website like Wikipedia or something like that, you can get some information, and that's cool. Web 2.0 is the current mainstream version of the website applications that we are using. So it might be Facebook, Instagram, and so on and so forth. It's mostly based on a cloud computer, where you not only interact with the website with a read-only manner, but you also can write something on the website and leave your digital footprint there. And Web 3.0 is that you can basically own the content, because compared to the Web 2.0, you, for example, let's pick the Facebook. You post some kind of feed on your wall, and does it belong to you? Probably not, because it's on the centralized servers of the Facebook. But in Web 3.0, you can have an opportunity to own the content that you create. It might be a digital asset, songs, and so on and so forth. And I'm sure we will get deep into that during this conversation.
Nice answer. Thank you. I heard Skirmantas mention the opportunities for Web3. So what are the biggest opportunities for startups that you see in Web3?
Yeah, I'd say at first is, again, the amount of choice that you have. While in traditional world, yeah, we get used to, hotel booking platforms and so on. You can think of many of different variations, but still many things are already sort of invented. We see just kind of variations of different things. On the blockchain, that's a very, very new niche, very new sphere that you can just do anything that's not possible in the traditional world we're used to. And also DappRadar to a certain extent is an example here. Nothing like that is possible in the real world, where kind of an app store has statistics, numbers, and so on, which is very useful and very needed. So I think there is so many opportunities there in terms of just the amount of ideas that you can think of. And then we will probably talk also about sort of capital, how startups get capital. So not just VCs anymore, not just investors, but you can just get money from literally anyone in many different ways, be it tokens, NFTs, or you can think of a new way. So plenty of those opportunities, really.
Okay. Tadas, anything to add?
Yeah, I think that what it creates for the startups is additional. What's the main aspect, in my opinion? It creates additional ways of fundraising. So, for example, if you are a startup, or I don't know, a few friends with an idea, you don't really need to go and through this whole painful process, approaching the VCs, polishing your pitch deck, and so on and so forth. You can basically approach the already formulated market and present their idea to the user base and actually raise the capital for your idea.
Great, thank you. So, Kaspars, what's your thought? Nothing to add?
Startups, guys, you are much faster than big enterprises, right? The feeling, I mean, we are working with top 500 organizations in the world, and the feeling is that they don't understand yet what does it mean and how to apply. So your role is to educate, and I have a story about that, but let's.
Okay. So we talked about opportunities, but how about the threats? Kaspars?
Threat of Web3 is that we will not succeed in education of enterprises. Story, it's just imaginary story. Yes, boardroom. There are CEO, there is strategy manager, marketing folks, and they are thinking about what to do next in, let's say, next year. And the boss asks, "Hey guys, I mean, are we innovative company?" And the strategy and CEO guy says, "Oh, yeah, sure, we have innovation department. Okay, can we do something with innovation next year?" "Oh yeah, we can." And then the CEO takes this, let's say, Wall Street Journal and says, "Hey, look, there is something written about Web3. Let's do that." And the IT guy says, "Oh yeah, we already planned. We already planned this blockchain stuff." What blockchain stuff? We will place in a checkout form that you can pay with the Bitcoin. "Oh, Bitcoin, that's the thing which is kind of fluctuating and it's not controllable and it is kind of decentralized." Yeah, that thing. And that CEO goes back in his mind and thinks about decentralization, no control, and he reminds last evening he has 3 kids in a next room, and there is absolute silence. And what happens when the absolute silence is between 3 kids? 2 ways. Whether they are engineering something and taking apart your iPhone and they are educating themselves. Whether they are eating candies, covering each other, and they are like burglars, right? He kicks in a room and asks, "Henry, did you eat the candies?" "No." "Robin, did you eat the candies?" "He's hiding." So, and so forth. And the CEO understands that there is a threat because there will be no one responsible for that. And this part is very, very important, that we need to educate what does it mean actually blockchain, that there is a kind of visibility, there is tracking, there is security, there is kind of distributed thing. Yes, this is the thread of boardroom, let's say.
You have covered quite a lot, even the kids.
Yeah, I have 3 of them.
Nice one. Do you think big tech companies' businesses are at advantage or the disadvantage compared to startups when it comes to moving to Web3? Skirmantas, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think a bit of both, because, well, first of all, you have access to capital. So that's unwritten, you can just get money as much as you need, hire people, and that's it. So that's a big advantage in the first place. But then what we see currently is Google, Facebook, and so on. It's pretty difficult to hire those people, who want to just cook something, just do something very quickly, very fast, and just launch. And you can see there are 2 guys launching $100 million funds and projects and so on. So that sort of disadvantage could be that, it's getting pretty difficult to hire talent in this industry specifically. You can hire good developers, but can you hire really those top-notch ones who can do blockchain? That's another topic. So I think, yeah, there is this advantage of having access to capital, being, well-funded and so on, but then access to human resources. This is where the kind of battle begins now in the industry.
So in simple words, you are saying they have money, but they are so slow.
They have money, but people don't want to come to them.
Okay.
I mean, that's a risk. I'm not saying that's always happening, but that's a risk.
I think they don't know how to sell idea internally as well. So if you come back to the story, that by saying blockchain and Bitcoin, I mean, they will be trapped. But if you say, for example, there was a guy today from the Car Vertical. Yes. What if Car Vertical produced the software, give to all auto dealers in Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, and when you are purchasing the car, fresh, zero, kind of, then the car appears on the blockchain. The record starts. This is one thing. The second thing, what if Car Vertical produces software for official services? And if they are changing some part of the car, it appears on a blockchain, and nobody can kind of change it. And in essence, for me, Car Vertical sells a promise of quality, a promise of traceability. Yes, and that kind of practical, let's say, thoughts, ideas, can educate the enterprises.
So may I just add, this is an opportunity and a threat in one. Because we can see so many startups, so many projects being built because, as I said, so many opportunities. But in the end, how many of those succeed? So you can kind of, think of something that, adding blockchain here would be cool, to a single-player game. Why? So, yeah.
So startups have an advantage, let's say here, when we compare to big companies. Yes. We hear a lot of news about volatility or something about crypto markets. Well, we see the situation that's with the market it is right now. How does this affect the Web3 companies and or investors? Tadas, would you like to share?
Oh yeah, it might affect drastically. I know that I was in this specific position. During 2017, we did an ICO. We raised, I don't remember, 12 million USD or something like that. And the thing is that it takes time for you to cash out your funds properly, because you have to do KYC, you have to fulfill all the regulations and so on and so forth. And while we were in this cash out process, the crypto winter hit really hard. So that means that the market is really volatile, right? It can go this up and down. So 11 million got to the 5 million in 2 days, then it got to 2 million, it got to 3 million, and it's really frustrating to track the market. So yeah, it's really, it might create additional opportunities when the market goes up. So if you're smart enough, you're able to invest and maybe long Bitcoin, and yeah, you have to be really smart. But that also creates a lot of threats that the funds that you raised can become 60 or 70% less in a matter of weeks.
What can be solution maybe to combat that?
Yeah, the solution is you can transfer the money to the stable coins. Yeah, not all of the stable coins, as you might know, because of the tariff situation. You can peg your funds, you can hedge your funds, you can use your funds as some kind of collaterals. There's a lot of opportunities, and I really agree with your idea that you have to educate the market. You have to educate the startups that are emerging in a crypto market. So.
Well, it's no secret that second bear market is much easier than the first one. And this is, after the NFT boom that we had kind of last year, now we see lots of people who, it's the first time when they see a market crashing.
Yeah, but the thing is that people are smarter now. A lot of people are starting to short market and receiving gains. Yeah. So that even the crypto crash creates a lot of opportunities.
Oh, definitely, that's the best time to build.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Each year, between 35 to 40% of startups ventures receive capital from 3 Fs: friends, family, or fools. Is there more opportunity for funding in Web3, or is it a similar scenario? What do you think, Kaspars?
I think there was a mention it already that maybe you can go out to the market and use those opportunities with those digital assets to get let's say the first kick.
Okay, so Tadas, since you mentioned that, could you elaborate?
Yeah, exactly. Nowadays there's a few popular methods of raising capital. So yeah, you said friends, family, and
fools.
Fools, yeah. So I would add one more: fucking crowdfunding, right? So there is a fourth F there, and there's several ways of doing that. The first one, as I said, you can find a community that believes in your idea, and you can just release the token, which is not that complex. You can also create some kind of crowdfunding initiatives based on the assets that you are released. So for example, Sandbox. There's a project Sandbox that sold digital land before the game even was released. So they started selling assets, land, for the users in order to attract fundraising and use these funds to develop a product. So it's just an example of, let's pick a game, right? World of Warcraft, right? And there's a lot of assets. There's armor, there is shields, there is swords, and all sorts of magical elements. So that would be that developers would sell the assets before the game is even released in order to raise funds for the initial game released. So yeah, you can just sell all that.
Thank you for this thorough answer. We have some public questions, and don't you see it as a problem that centralized cloud companies provide infrastructure services to blockchain networks? Skirmantas?
Yeah, that's a bit concerning, but I think in a way it's similar to kind of how dApps are being built. You know, at first and how DAOs, decentralized organizations, are being built. At first you try to decentralize the parts that you can, but now still, yeah, most of the infrastructure is run on centralized servers. We should kind of aim to get that to decentralize more. So it's concerning. I don't know what's the solution. I agree with that, yeah.
Okay. For Tadas, how can we talk of decentralization if large centralized cloud companies in Fura, AVS, etc. are providing infrastructure to a majority of dApps?
Yeah, that's a good question. And in my opinion, what is the main difference between centralized applications and decentralized applications is the information, the key information that is stored on the dApps is on a blockchain. And the other information is for the centralized applications is stored on the centralized applications. And obviously it's really hard to create fully transparent application that is 100% is stored on the blockchain, because you obviously need to have some resources, even if it's for front end or some kind of back end calculations on Azure and other centralized entities. But we will get there. We are slowly. We will get there, don't worry. But yeah, I mean, I wish I was technical enough to answer this question in a deeper manner.
Thank you. Kaspars, you mentioned Car Vertical. There's a question. Car Vertical started as a blockchain project, ICO2, and now it's centralized. Why?
That's a good question. I need to be hired for Car Vertical, and then I will know.
Your answer.
Maybe they found that maybe the speed.
Well, yeah, the speed might. I know it's Car Vertical did a successful ICO, and it's really good. They built really great product. But I'm sure that the requests to the blockchain itself, they cost some amount of money. And at that time, Ethereum was the main blockchain provider. And it's really expensive to have fully skilled product on the blockchain. So I'm sure they will have, they will transition to the blockchain at some point, because as Kaspar mentioned, it's really good to have a program where you are able to track all the history of a specific vehicle that you are about to buy.
We are talking always about Web3. So what would happen if the market would crash on Web3? How can we protect our startup businesses from that?
Well, I can also speak a little bit about that. The cryptocurrency will crash and it will go up, and there's going to be thousands and thousands of cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and so on and so forth. But you have to understand that cryptocurrency is just one of the applications of the blockchain. The blockchain in itself is the innovation that we have to focus on. The blockchain is the core element, and the cryptocurrencies is, yeah, as I said, is one of the applications that actually attracts a lot of, and it's good that there's a blockchain, that there is a cryptocurrency element, because it attracts all sorts of investors there, because if there was no value, no one would probably use the blockchain because it's really slow, it's really clumpy, and it needs time to get to the point that it's going to be used on every single aspect. So yeah, I wouldn't be worried of that. I would just focus on the technology itself.
Okay, there is another one interesting. Will edge computing take over cloud, or will we see a great mix of both in Web3? Skirmantas, would you like to share?
You got me a difficult one, huh?
Yeah.
Not sure about that. I think, cloud computing where we stand now, we're kind of, there are centralized kind of server bases, and then I want to believe that this is not going to remain like that, because we see what happens when some data center gets, damaged and something happens. And if we talk about the blockchain, if we talk about free, we don't want that to happen. So I just want to make sure that this sort of changes. The rest, we'll see.
Great, thank you.
To add about the cloud, folks, you need to understand that those big corporations just took all the servers under the tables and just put it in the cloud. It's happening right now. I mean, they are kind of not able to consume maybe the idea about edge computing yet, but taking in account that power what we have all in the pockets and elsewhere in the cars, then the edge computing definitely will be used somehow.
Thank you. Tadas, there is a question from Tadas, so maybe it's for you. What is the risk of Web3 becoming centralized with big hedge funds having the biggest stakes in it?
Yeah,
Well, you have to.
Yeah, obviously what the Facebook is doing is they're creating, there's the perfect example of the corporation going to Web3, right? They're creating the meta, they're creating this whole metaverse experience where creators can create the assets, sell to the market, and so on and so forth, which on paper looks good. But the thing is that it's centralized. You are not able to transfer these assets to somewhere else and use them in some kind of other experience. And the key, the purpose of this decentralization is that when you have the asset, you own it. It doesn't matter if the Facebook or Meta or whatever goes bankrupt, you still have this asset. And you can use it in a different kind of environment. So I just gave you the example of World of Warcraft. So imagine you have some kind of legendary weapon, right? And there is a community of the whole World of Warcraft. And the Blizzard goes south. They don't really want to develop the game anymore, right? But there is the community that holds all the assets. And these assets are decentralized. They are still there despite the fact that Blizzard is out of the game. So what can theoretically, and what is happening in the market right now, for example, the community can build some other experience around the existing assets, and that's the beauty of that. And the question was, is it a threat, right? So it is kind of a threat, but there's a lot of really good minds, and just give the power to the community, and blockchain, the truly decentralized blockchain allows to do that. So.
But what about standards? Can I take the sword and go in a Mario game and hit the mushroom?
Exactly. This is what I'm trying to say. But the community builds experience. But theoretically, yeah, you can. The one single asset can be a sword in one game, the spaceship in other game, and it can be I don't know, an entry ticket to the most exclusive club in Las Vegas.
Thank you guys for joining, and thank you for Startup Fair. We are done here for today, and see you in the next adventures.